was doing my research before watching the film, and I read that in Belfast they had like the best sandwiches ever. Is that true?
Yeah, I could probably pretty happily live on sandwiches, and yeah, we've always had good sandwiches. There's a place called Doorsteps that I grew up on. That they're not only sandwiches; they are like the size of your head. So I'm all for that. I don't want a pre-made sandwich. I want somewhere you go and you watch them pile it up. Yeah, that's always a good sandwich.
Is not how the story ends, but rather the place where it begins.
Can you put your shoes?
Do you think me and that girl have a future?
Well, why the heck not?
Most joyful scenes centers on popular entertainment. I mean, Chitty Chitty Bang Bang, Star Trek. And watching this made me cry a lot because I remember when I was a little girl and I went to the cinema to disconnect from the messy world that was waiting for me outside. So do you believe in the curative power of big mainstream movies?
100%. So, with no disrespect for their sophistication and depth and everything, because they have plenty of that. In this last season, a couple of my most memorable, enjoyable and totally escapist moments were in the James Bond film, No Time to Die, in the Spider-Man film, both of which are, way, way, way beyond mere common entertainment.
I do believe in it, and I think particularly if you come from a small place that isn't on TV a lot or in the movies a lot, or it doesn't have that sort of, I don't know, color or glamour or whatever you want to call that, then I think your imagination works even more, and you really give yourselves to these big movies.
I've loved films from a really, really young age, and to act in one was just a dream come true. And I can't wait to see what comes next. And I definitely want to be an actor when I grow up.
My family weren't great cinema goers, but sometimes I might go down on my own and see something that either scared me or was a bit too not grown up. I mean, I saw some violent things that I didn't think I should be watching. I don't know why they let me into the cinema, to be quite honest.
Yeah, Indiana Jones was my biggest form of escape, and that's a character I would have dressed up as a lot and played as in games and stuff when I was a kid.
My wife and I just love it. We love it, the ritual of it, getting to the cinema, getting the popcorn. I like to eat ice cream. When I saw the James Bond film, I watched it in 4XD, so that meant the chair moved, the smoke hit me on the face, the water came up. I bring it on, I say. So yes, it's lovely, and as you put it very, very well, that for those couple of hours, the world outside and all its chaos and confusion is meaningless to me. I'm driving an Aston Martin, or I'm flinging web strings up across a tall building, and all's well with the world.
Yes!
You know who you are. Your buddy from Belfast, where everybody knows you.
They look so
The whole family looks out for you.
Caitriona, do you think that portraying such a turbulent time in this part of the world from the perspective of a child allows us to analyze the troubles in a more honest way?
Yeah, I think you get a much more human portrayal or perspective, because while it's important that we examine the political sphere and other important films that have done that over the years, I think looking at something through the eyes of a child really allows us to distill something down to its most simple form.
Ken has captured it in the heart of the film, and also for that we also have to thank the beauty of the innocence of Jude playing the role of what's a little boy in Belfast like? Well, he's all kinds of things to me, but you can see the beauty and the heart and the innocence and the soul of him then, and there's no better fella to play the role than Jude.
I think there are a lot of Easter eggs or references to your childhood, but also to your career as an actor and filmmaker. So besides the scene where Buddy is holding a Thor comic book, is there another reference to your filmography?
Well, when my mother at this time, we were at the beginning of the 70s, having not been a great reader, she became an absolute devotee of crime fiction. So she started to borrow books from the library every single week. She just started to love murder stories. And so into the house the first time came the work of Agatha Christie.
That was a worry I had with it at the beginning. I was like, are people just going to be like, what are they talking about? You know, but it hasn't been, as you're proof of that, it hasn't been that, and I love that.
You will find in the Christmas morning scene that Caitriona Balfe's Christmas present from my papa, as it were, is Agatha Christie's little-known Poirot story, Halloween Party. So if I don't know, that may be on our dance card at some time, we'll see. But anyway, that was another little sneaky way of saying that's where I got introduced to the Belgian with the moustache.
This is the time to make a new start.
Mama says if we went across the water, they wouldn't understand the way we talk.
Shouldn't be a problem. I've been married to your granny for 50 years. I've never understood a word you said.
I think grandparents are one of the greatest things in life. So don't you think there is like an implicit reminder throughout the film? Very subtle, I don't think it's like a direct thing that constantly reminds the audience that grandparents eventually are going to become memories.
Yes, that's right. And in fact, I only ever had one grandparent, one grandfather, because I didn't meet any of the others, actually. And it's actually, recently, I've done a program where they have traced my family back, and I suddenly find, to my astonishment, that I now have a Scandinavian connection with, grandparents there who go back there who I had no idea about. And I wish I'd lived. I had not the privilege or the joy of living in a house with grandparents, alas. But I had no excuse. I had very, very loving parents and two very loving brothers. But I think that to have grandparents, it's in a way, it's always seemed to me a very European thing to have the grandparents in the family, with the family. And it's a pity that is not something that we see and understand more often.
Actually, it's something very common here in Mexico. Maybe that's why I relate a lot to the story.
Why are you sending us to church?
Because your granny would kill me if I didn't.
Well, not deaf, back here.
How could I leave Belfast? Everybody likes them and everybody looks after them.
From the first minute, I perceived the whole atmosphere as a memory, and not because of the black and white, but because it is very personal. And the same thing happened to me when I watched Alfonso Cuarón's Rome. Did this movie have any influence on you?
I have to say that I have not seen Roma because a couple of years ago, when it came out, and Alfonso is a master filmmaker whose work I revere, so I knew that he would make a magnificent film, and I knew that on the horizon, on my creative horizon, was the idea of a memory story about my childhood. And so I did not want to watch Alfonso's film at that stage because I knew it would be so good that it would stop me making mine. So it's now a wonderful treat ahead. Now that Belfast is finally delivered, I'll be able to look at that great work.
That'll always be the truth.
Be good, son. If you can't be good.
And if you can't be good, be careful.